What? Another drink? Maybe some water's fine. Just plain water, please. Huh? Do I come here often? Well, not really. I run a cafe, and what? Can you and your friends come by sometime? I mean, yeah, I guess. Dance nights. It isn't really that type of place. Actually, can you excuse me? It's a bit crowded in here, and I think I need some fresh air. Well, that was certainly an experience. I wasn't aware that that many drinks and Mikote and loud music and could all be together in one place at one time. Wow, that DJ was amazing though. Maybe I should invite her to the cafe later. After I get some sleep and maybe after my stomach settles a little. Oh, hello, my friend. Why are the lights so low in here? Well, I have a tiny bit of a headache, you see. I'm afraid that in my attempts to find things for us to do until we go to Tyrol, I may have gotten a bit overzealous yesterday evening. Have no fear, though. I've experienced clubbing and am ready to tell you all about it. Maybe the moment my stomach settles, though. My ongoing series of what we can do before leaving for Tyrol will continue, and I will introduce you to the amazing DJ Potate. A DJ that, until I spoke with them, not even I was aware of just how famous or perhaps infamous they actually are. As always, it seems your timing is impeccable, though. They should be here any minute. Let's just hope this medicine kicks in before they arrive, shall we? Welcome to my cafe, DJ Potate.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I just woke up not too long ago because I'm up
Good.
late.
I noticed you said that you tend to DJ into the pretty early morning, but I suppose that's just part of being a DJ and being part of the club scene.
Yeah, my latest show is like residency is Thursday, goes till 6 a.m. at Vibe House.
Oh wow. Yeah, as someone who's usually asleep by like 9:30, I don't think I could do it. But I suppose you adjust.
Yeah, you get used to. I'm basically on night shift schedule, so I wake up like 3 or 4 and then do the DJing stuff and then go to bed in the early morning.
So, where are you joining us from today?
My office, I guess you could say. So like I'm just at home, my office. Place where I do all my DJing stuff and stream stuff.
North America, somewhere, I assume?
Oh yeah. I'm in the Southeast United States.
Okay. Anything you're drinking while we're here? I myself have actually just a cup of hot water. I had some coffee pre-interview, so for once I I usually have like coffee or tea, but this time it's just hot water.
Hot water. You're just drinking a cup of hot water. No tea,
Uh-huh.
no coffee, just hot water. Why hot
Sadly.
specifically?
It's cooled down since I first got it. I don't see, the problem is that I don't know whether to use Fahrenheit or Celsius because people all over the world listen to this podcast. So we'll just say warm, warm to like low hot, mild, doesn't scorch my throat, but still has a nice bit of, comfort, warmth to it.
Okay, so you like the warm water because of comfort. Well, I'm not gonna lie, I've never just drank warm or hot water. Usually, if I'm drinking hot water, there's tea in it.
You know, I'm not really a big fan of it usually, but I find either during winter it's nice, but also how do I put this? I try and really limit my coffee intake, but I also really love coffee. So I've already had 2 cups today, so
Oh,
it's kind of to stop myself from having a 3rd cup of coffee.
oh man, I totally hate to already take us on a tangent, but are you looking for any coffee replacements that are kind of like coffee? Because I got something that's pretty good.
Well, I have like decaf tea around the house, but now that you've brought it up, I'm curious. What do you have?
I'm not like sponsored by these people or anything. I just really like their drink. It's called Creo Brew. I think. Let me see. Make sure I see how it's spelled. I'm pretty sure it's Criobru. It's like imagine it's coffee, but it's not coffee. It's made out of cocoa, like pure ground cocoa, and so you don't get the caffeine, but you get like but it tastes like coffee because it's like dark and chocolatey, but there's no sugar, so it's not like hot chocolate. It's called Creo Brew. Excuse me, I don't actually drink coffee, so if I do want a warm beverage that doesn't have a ton of caffeine, that is coffee adjacent, Creo Brew is what I drink, and they have a ton of flavors, and it's really good.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to hit me with that spelling one more time, a little slower.
CRIOBRU. I sent you a link. I know I'm already derailing things, but like that's my favorite coffee replacement for people who don't want to drink coffee but want to drink coffee with people who drink coffee.
This looks really interesting. I'll check this out. Thank you.
I'm drinking a Coke. I'm just drinking Coke.
So neither of us have tea or coffee going into this interview. So this will go perfect. Okay. So now that we've derailed this, um, Final Fantasy XIV, that thing we're supposed to be talking about.
Yes,
Um, Obviously you DJ in Final Fantasy XIV.
I do.
When you're not DJing or sleeping from having to be a DJ all night, do you have any like outside hobbies or games you really enjoy?
Uh, I mean, I definitely play video games, that's for sure. Like I'm addicted to Helldivers right now, which I think a lot of people are. Sometimes I play VR chat. I also I LARP. I don't know if you know what I do live action role, so I hit people with swords. Hit people with foam swords in the woods.
Yeah, actually, when I was in high school, I was a pretty big fan of it.
Oh. So well, if you know any of the games, I play games called Amp Guard, and then another one's like Belagarth or Dagger here. People call it Beldag. And those are the main games that I play, which are like they're like boffer LARP, so it's more like full contact sport type rather than like role play heavy.
Oh, cool. That's really
And then
neat.
I also craft wands, like out of sticks.
Huh. So in these role plays, I mean, do you tend to be more of like a frontline person or a backline person? Is the stick crafting because you like primarily role play as a mage or
Oh no, I just needed a craft, and my wife needed a wand for her. She got knighted, and so I wanted to give her a knighting gift and made her a wand, and I just got into it because of that. There are other people that cast, but I'm what they call the term is like a stick jock. I like to fight with melee, and I'm decent at it. I'm not like amazing, but I'm pretty good. Last event I went to, I did frontline. I was playing in the one game that I play, they do have classes, and I was playing the class called Paladin. So I have like a whole suit of chainmail that I wear.
so I have to ask then, is do you play a paladin in 14? Like does that cross over to your class choice in the game?
In PvP, yeah.
Oh,
In
neat.
PvE, no. But in PvP, yes.
So what do you do in PvE then?
Scholar.
Oh, neat. Neat. So how did you come to the Final Fantasy franchise? Like how did you end up getting into Final Fantasy?
I am a WoW fugee. I'm one of the WoW refugees from the time that Asmongold came over to play Final Fantasy.
Did you DJ back in WoW then?
Nope. I started DJing after finding the clubbing scene in Final Fantasy and liking it so much. And there wasn't like a single DJ that played the exact music that I wanted to hear. And so I was like, well, I'll just do it myself then.
Hey, I mean, take initiative, take the music scene into your own hands.
Mhm.
Before you came to 14, did you have experience with any previous Final Fantasy titles?
I played a couple on PlayStation growing up. Um, but like not I didn't own the CDs. I had friends that would come over and bring Final Fantasy and bring their memory card, and we would play on their save files. But honestly, I really didn't like own any Final Fantasy games before 14. I was a huge MMO nut, and when the WoW stuff happened, because at the time I was a huge WoW nerd, playing WoW for years. But when I heard that everyone was leaving WoW because of the reasons everyone was leaving WoW because of Blizzard at the time, I was like, well, where's everyone going? They're like, oh, Final Fantasy, it's great. It's got everything that WoW has and more. And then I started playing Final Fantasy, and I'm like, this this MMO does have everything WoW has and a little more, it seems.
Did you and your wife start 14 together around the same time? Does she play?
Yeah, she does play. She started a little bit after me. I got her into it because I was like, you should try. I've been trying to get her to try out MMOs with me. I think the last MMO we played together that she kind of liked was Guild Wars 2. She didn't really like WoW, but when I got her into Final Fantasy and she realized, I mean, I'm gonna snitch on her, but she likes the glam. When she realized how good the glam system was, she was like, "Ooh, I like this."
Well, you constantly hear people saying that glam is the true end game, so I can't really say I'm surprised by that. I mean, no shame there.
It is true.
I've talked before on here about how much I love the website Eorzea Collection, and I've promoted it. And I mean, I love showing off my glams. Like I've said on previous episodes, I feel like a lot like with IRL, glams are one of the best ways that people show off their individuality. I love seeing them.
Claims that adventure plates are the best.
You know, adventure plates. So I'm still not used to them, I guess. As someone who's played since 2.0, me and my old man ways over here, I'm still kind of getting used to checking adventure plates, but people definitely get creative. I've seen entire streams of people just checking out random adventure plates. Some of them, look really unique. Sometimes you have streamers that have to quickly close a glamour plate for obvious reasons, but
Mhm.
they're definitely awesome. I'm still kind of getting used to them myself. It's a process for me, I guess.
Oh, I love adventure plates. If you want to know the secret, is always look at Lalafels. They have the best adventure plates.
you know, like that's not even a joke. I agree. I've seen some Lalafels with just some really cool adventure plates. Yeah, checking glams, checking adventure plates is so neat. And I imagine that as someone who DJs and is part of the 14 club scene, you get a lot more exposure to that than most players.
Oh yeah.
But we will get into that in part 2 of the interview. So, tell me about you starting in Final Fantasy XIV. What was that like? Did you have like a favorite starting city or class, or what were the early days of 14 like for you?
Well, Limsa's always been my favorite city. Honestly, I have no idea why. It was my starting city, and I just love it. And I consider it like the capital. It's like the main city for me. If I want to hang out, I hang out in Limsa. But starting out, I mean, I literally played Scholar so that I could also have Arcanist, Arcanist, however you say it, so that I could have a healer and a DPS. That was literally like my initial choice for the class was like, oh, well, I could have a healer and a DPS, and every other class is just one, so I'll just be that. And then I ended up really liking Scholar, even though it's actually kind of hard to play as a new player.
Yeah, it it's I'd say of the starting healers, it's definitely one that takes a bit of time to get used to.
In my opinion, it has some of the highest, like one of the highest skill curves of all the healers because it requires you to know how everything's going to work, the timing for your fairy abilities, and then you also have to know the fights because you do mitigation.
Plus, unlike say White Mage, you're trying to also take care of limited use of ether stacks, even though the cooldown for them has gotten a bit shorter over time, so you gain them back a bit quicker than you used to. But Scholar's actually the healer I main as well.
Yeah, it's a fun healer. I wish more people would play. I think it needs a rework though, and I mean that in the politest fan of a Scholar way. I love Scholar. It needs a rework.
I could not agree more. The past 2 expansions playing Scholar, especially after the Summoner rework, I was like, cool. Now, if you could please do this with Scholar, I'd appreciate it. Because not only does Scholar, their set feels a bit dated compared to other classes, but also just in general, it would be nice to see them get a bit of a facelift, especially after Summoner got one.
Agreed.
So, as this is a more music focused episode, do you remember generally like what was the first track in 14 that really hit you, that really made you go, wow, the music in this game is fantastic.
I mean, honestly, just like the battle themes themselves are really good. But I think the first time the music of Final Fantasy really, really, really hit me in 14, especially when I was like, this is probably one of the greatest video game tracks I've ever heard. Maybe this isn't, people might think I'm memeing, but like the twinning, the music from that dungeon is so good. It's so good. You know the one, right?
Yeah, it is
That,
really good.
oh my God, I don't know why, but that is like, that song hits different. If I'm in that dungeon, game volume I turn the sound, the game music volume up to maximum.
So if anyone has a neighbor that's been playing that song too loud, you now know who it is.
It's me.
Coffee and Carbuncles. We are just out here outing people. It's fine.
Yup.
When you're playing 14, then do you generally have the music on, or are you playing other tracks? Or, as I'm a little apprehensive to ask this, do you ever listen to any of your own DJ sets while you're playing 14?
While I'm playing 14, I mean, usually I listen to a lot of other DJs when I'm playing games. If I'm in a car though, if I'm by myself in a car, I will listen to any. If I have old sets that are recording or VODs that are basically unmuted, I will definitely listen to them in the car. It's real good car music.
So, out of curiosity, earlier you said that one of the reasons you got into DJing in 14 is because other people weren't playing the music that you wanted to hear. So, can you describe your music taste for us?
Honestly, well, at first it was I wanted to hear a lot of bass and tech house. And there wasn't anybody I think exclusively playing. There was a lot of like no like melodic progressive house, and there was lots of like dubstep and hard style. But I was like, I wanted bass and tech house, and I didn't know it yet, but I was a big fan of drum and bass. I didn't quite know exactly what I was looking for in terms of my music, or I didn't even understand how all the genres were and how to list them right. But over time, slowly started learning that I really, 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 really liked drum and bass, and now drum and bass is basically all that well, not all that I, but most of what I play.
Did you like what actually made you go, "Okay, I'm going to DJ in this game"? I mean, have you been DJing outside of 14 for a while? Did you see any particular DJ in 14 and you were like, "Yeah, I want to do that." Like, how did you get into DJing?
Well, my FC leader at the time brought me and my wife to a club, and I was like, "Whoa, this is pretty neat." And then watched a couple different DJs, and they were all pretty good. But like, I don't know. And at the time, I wasn't DJing outside of the game or anything. Like at the time, I actually wasn't a DJ at all. I just really, really wanted to figure out a way to share music like these people were with people. But I was like, I want to share the music that I really love, and I think people would really like it. So like, yeah, I don't know.
So
It
was
kind of
it
just happened.
difficult? Sorry, was it difficult to get started then? I mean,
Yes.
I guess what I'm curious about in regards to DJing is the money the bigger issue, or is the sort of like skill ceiling the bigger issue?
Oh, skill ceiling for sure. You can pretty much DJ on basic. If you have a computer, you can DJ. Like, there's ways to. I know there are people who mix music with a keyboard and mouse. In fact, when I first started DJing, I was mixing with a keyboard and mouse. It is physically possible. It is not ideal. It is not like you're still kind of like holding yourself back a little bit, but it's really easy to learn concepts, and you can start sharing music with people and learn how to mix with the basics of mixing with just a keyboard and mouse. Like I really didn't know what I was doing. I was watching YouTube tutorials, asking people, mainly just using YouTube tutorials and kind of trying to figure out how it worked. I also had a musical background. I played the cello like throughout the entirety of my schooling years. And so I had a little bit of music theory background knowledge and understanding of like basic music concepts. So I think if you can understand like basic music concept or have ever played an instrument at all in any capacity where you've had to read music or know anything about music theory and you have a PC and you like music, you could totally DJ.
And in part two of this interview, I'd really like to get into your creative process, how you go about DJing, but also I think we need to talk about the Final Fantasy XIV club scene and what it is and what a lot of people assume it to be. So, if you'll stick around, we will
Mhm.
go to break, and then after a short break, we will get into part two of this interview and we will talk all about DJing and the Final Fantasy XIV club scene.
No problemo.
So, we will be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're gearing up for part two of my interview with my wonderful guest, DJ Popoto? DJ Papaya? DJ Hash Browns?
It's DJ Potate, like potato, but without the O.
So, that's a very interesting name. Where does DJ Potate come from as a name?
People were calling Lalafels potatoes, and I was a Lalafel, and I wanted to DJ, so I thought it'd be funny if I was DJ Potate. That's literally it. I thought it
Hey,
would be cute
you
and
know,
funny.
wherever you get it. It's cute. I like it. So, DJ Potate,
Yes.
you are a Final Fantasy XIV DJ. Now, not everyone who hears that may know what all that entails and what makes someone a Final Fantasy XIV DJ versus, I don't know, a club DJ somewhere in New York. So, would you mind explaining what exactly do you do and what is a Final Fantasy XIV DJ?
Well, basically, so people take their houses, they turn them into nightclubs, and then I go and I sit in their DJ booth that they make in their houses, and then I DJ onto Twitch, and I actually have like a deck and everything, and I DJ for real and stream it onto Twitch, and then people, when they're at these parties, in their other monitor, usually will have the stream open, and then that is the music for the club. So I DJ in virtual clubs, and then sometimes I actually DJ IRL. I've DJed in a real club before too, and I've DJed at a con.
Oh, cool. How do you go about your process? Like, do you have a pretty stable set list by now in terms of music, or do you change it up a lot? Do you tend to throw in a lot of songs from Final Fantasy XIV, or do you prefer songs from outside of the game?
I actually don't really play Final Fantasy music during the sets at all. I play because most people come when they want to hear. I mean, I'm weird. I play memes, like literal songs that are just memes, and in them I have a couple Final Fantasy 14 songs. But most of what I play is drum and bass. Right now, at least, most people I think come expecting like club music. Um, and the process, I mean, I don't know what it's like for other DJs, but for me, I know I look for a lot of music all the time, and there's a lot of sets where I'm kind of just winging it. Like I just kind of like throw it together as we're going. I mean, sometimes I pre-plan whole sets, but for the most part, it's pretty much like I kind of will know what's gonna sound good together, and I just kind of string them together.
Does the setting, does the atmosphere, does the theme of the club, is that something that really plays into you deciding on a set list, or is it more they book DJ Potate and they're going to get what you bring to the party?
It completely depends. There are some venues that request certain genres and such, but like for the most part, like if there's no like designated theme, yeah, that you get DJ Potate.
I know some people just think that DJing is like standing around a keyboard, letting a playlist play. But in my time at events, and I've come to shows where you've been DJing too, they've been awesome. I've noticed you and other DJs move around quite a lot. You're constantly adjusting things as the music plays, and you're also doing a lot of communicating with the audience, encouraging them or promoting the venue that you're at, or just trying to get, a good feel and trying to create a good time for everyone. And I noticed on some of your videos you even have a really adorable avatar. it seems like being a DJ, you have to actually be pretty engaged with your audience, right?
Oh yeah, I have 4 monitors when I DJ, and all of them are being used for something.
Tell me
So,
tell me about that a bit. Like
uh,
what's usually on each monitor? What's happening when people are watching a DJ Potate stream? What's happening on your end of things?
the farthest left monitor is DJing software next to the board. The monitor next to that is OBS. The monitor next to that is the game, and then the monitor next to that is the Twitch stream itself on Twitch to monitor bitrate and for moderation. And yeah, that's pretty much all my monitors. They just from left to right. And each one I try to go back and forth between. So DJing to do the mixing and the transitions and the layering and the double drops. Then OBS to make sure all the stats and everything are working right. Like make sure my internet gets wonky sometimes, so checking the internet and talking in chat. Usually, looking at the OBS screen is also how I kind of puppet the avatar. Then the game screen, I'll try to look at every so often to talk in game chat. I try not to be completely absent there. Then fourth monitor is Twitch, just to check the bitrate on Twitch and also just to double check that everything is matching up with OBS. But then also I can flop between that and Discord. So sometimes I have Discord on my monitor.
So when you're DJing, like you are getting very active and just constantly busy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, as someone who doesn't DJ and doesn't know a lot about music, I'm going to ask a question and I want to apologize if it comes off sounding ignorant. When you see someone DJ or describing DJing as you were just doing, there it looks like on their deck they're constantly adjusting knobs, and you talked about doing various things with your DJing software. What's going on when that's happening? Like, what are you actually adjusting? Like bass and music speed, or what all? Walk us through that a little.
I mean, it depends because different people have their boards mapped to different things. Like I know some people have it depends on what controls you're talking about, I guess. This is actually a very complicated question because the knobs that most people think about are the EQ knobs, which controls the high, the mids, the lows, the frequencies like in the music in the song that you hear. But other people have them mapped to things called stems, which can separate the different layers of the song between like lyrics, melody, drums. Um, and then other people just completely remap them to God knows what, like effects or different things and loops. And I don't know, because you can remap, your board is remappable, like you can do keybinds in a video game. So it really depends on what. So I can't speak for all DJs. For me, I use EQ. The knobs are EQ. So for me, it's adjusting EQ levels to make sure that songs that are layered over top of each other, or doing when I do like double drops, making sure that the bass lines aren't muddying each other. So pretty much just the knobs that I use is pretty much to help control the different levels of sound in the song, so that when they are playing over top each other, because frequently when I play, I have 2 songs playing over top each other, but you don't want them to be like muddy sounding or like they're fighting with each other.
So then, you when you play a song, when someone hears you DJing and playing a song you enjoy, chances are then that they're probably not going to hear you play the same song the same way twice. Like it sounds like it can really vary each time depending on sort of how you're feeling at the time, how you're feeling about the tracks, and just kind of the atmosphere that's happening at the time.
I mean, it depends. You'll hear there will frequently be a lot of tracks that will be played with each other because I like to mix things that are in key so that they sound good together. So it just depends on what's going on. I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot that can happen during sets with songs. But yeah, my sets are generally unique. I don't think I've ever played the same set twice, other than when I've practiced sets that I was going to play live and I planned a set.
That's something else I wanted to ask about. Is there a lot of practice that goes into your sets? Because I know earlier you said that, sometimes you'll just wing it depending on how things go, but outside of when you're streaming, outside of when you're doing like club sets, is there a lot of prep work that goes into this?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say I sit and practice I mean, unless I'm working on really specific songs or doing specific things. I wouldn't say I practice as much, but like music finding is a big thing. Spending hours listening to songs is a big part of the pro. At least for me, it is. I could spend hours listening to music and find maybe 30 songs.
So where do you usually pull these songs from? I mean, are we talking like YouTube or Spotify, or where do you have a lot of people at this point that suggest tracks to you, or how do you go about finding things to play?
I use a website called Beatport mostly. It's like for DJs, and it links with my software. So anytime I add ooh, excuse me, anytime I add a song on Beatport into one of the playlists there, it can be streamed onto my software on my PC, and then I basically yeah, just stream the music onto my PC, and then I play it from their online library.
And does this website suggest songs as well then?
Yeah, kind of. So they have like top 100s and stuff that you can look through their website and see the different categories. They also have them separated by genre. So I will wander around the drum and bass section.
Now, moving away from how you DJ and how the music is found and put together, I actually want to talk a bit about the club scene in 14. And
Okay.
I know that this can be a kind of complicated and tricky subject. So, to start out with, let's talk about what is a club in 14. I know that you said that, obviously we have housing in 14. Some people choose to turn their houses into things like cafes, and some people choose to turn their houses into nightclubs.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about the club scene in 14? What's it like? Is it pretty active? What are times that you find it to be most active during? Does it mimic real life clubs?
It's a little different than real life clubs, but they're very similar. There's a couple different things because they're obviously limited by what they can do in an online setting. Um, there are a lot of similarities, like the music, the people. There are bars. I mean, of course, your character doesn't quite get drunk, but it's part of the interactive experience. There's gambling, usually games, glam contests. Things that you would actually find in typical clubs, things in game like different events type stuff that you would find normally. You find a lot in Final Fantasy. It was very popular during COVID because people were finding ways to hang out with people out that were safe. It definitely has a lot of the same people, which is really cool. And in my opinion, it's actually like one of the most LGBTQ plus friendly spaces in the game.
Why do you say that?
Um, I mean, so I'm trans. That's probably not a mystery to most people at this point. I have rarely, if at all, experienced any type of discrimination or crappiness in the club scene. Of course, there's always like one or two people that kind of are cruddy, but they quickly get, I don't want to say shunned, but people don't really put up with that kind of behavior. So it quickly gets shut down. It's a pretty safe place. I mean, it was what helped me come out publicly.
You talked about how during COVID, people used clubs in 14 to kind of continue what they would prefer to do IRL, but obviously couldn't because we had things like lockdowns. Were you a DJ in 14 pre-COVID, or did COVID really see a rise in your bookings as a DJ? Do you feel like the club scene grew because of COVID in 14?
I mean, I was pretty much a DJ during COVID only. So, I assume I'm pretty sure there was a big boom when I very first got into DJing. I started kind of early, but I wasn't one of the very first ones. But when I did get in, it was like right before a very big explosion in it. And so, yeah, I mean, COVID definitely made any online activity that used to be something you would do in person that was now all of a sudden safe. It made it way popular.
Also, I've heard people have a preference towards clubs in 14 because of real life safety reasons. For instance, as you said, you can't actually get drunk, though I have heard of people that will have alcohol, while they're clubbing in 14, but that is a personal choice.
Hmm.
But also, I don't want to sound like too much of an old man, but in real life, clubs can be dangerous at times. Things happen. And I've heard of people who either find more safety in clubbing online or people that just in general aren't really the type to go to clubs in real life, but seem to love doing it in 14. And I feel like part of the reason is the scene, the atmosphere, and DJs play a large part in that.
Oh yeah, it's a lot safer. I mean, I don't have to worry about being harassed or anybody messing with my drink, or I don't have to worry about how I need to get home if I do want to drink. If I drink at a club in Final Fantasy, my bed is just 10 feet that way. I just go to bed. I I can just walk to my chambers.
All right, confession time. After a night of 14 clubbing, have you ever had to ask your wife to come pick you up?
From my office, no. She's never had to pick me up out of my chair and drag me into the bedroom. No, 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 no. I'm too old to drink that much. I don't think I've ever drinking that much where I felt like I needed somebody to do that for me, and like ever even. I don't think I've ever had someone take me to like pick me up or carry me or drag me to bed before.
so so I also wanted to ask about timing. I mean, you spoke about being up until 6 a.m. doing doing club related stuff in 14. When you're DJing, what is your schedule usually looking like? I mean, is are there clubs that'll book you for an entire night, or about how long do your sets usually run?
Typical sets are between 1 and 2 hours. It's pretty much like no deviation from there. It's kind of like this what seems to be the standard now in clubbing is 1 to 2 hour sets. But my night is completely random. I could be playing from 8. I could be I do limit myself to 2 shows per night, and that's just for like my own mental health reasons, but in terms of my schedule, it can be completely random.
Do you have set servers that you club on, or is there like a DJ Potate on every data center, or how do you go about getting to venues, I suppose?
Before DC travel, there was a DJ Potate alt on every single US data center. Yeah. I also have a DJ Potate alt on the EU data centers. I think the only place I don't have a Potate is Materia.
And do you arrive pretty early before a show, or I mean at this point is you sound it sounds as though you have a lot of things already set up beforehand. So when you're booked for a venue, about when is your character actually showing up to the venue proper, and how far after that is your stream starting?
I attempt to show up to the venue an hour before my set. That is my always what I attempt to do. Um, Sometimes, that's not what happens. Sometimes I show up like 30 minutes before my set, or if I have a back to back, which means like 2 sets right up against each other, then I have no choice but to show up as one set ends. But I attempt to, if I can, show up an hour before sets. And that's just to double check everything's good and that we're ready, to make sure I have no technical issues, which I frequently DJing software and all the stuff and streaming software, there's frequently issues. So it saved me more times than I can count of me getting there early, setting everything up, realizing something's messed up, restarting my computer, setting it all up again, and then everything works. And that took maybe 20 minutes, and I'm like, ooh, glad I'm here an hour early. So it's really, I try to just like make sure that I'm there. I don't know. I try to really respect the venue's time and make sure that everything's ready and I don't have to waste anybody's time with my technical issues or anything like that.
That's good. Is there a big difference between servers or data centers in regards to the clubs and venues that you DJ for?
I think data centers have subtle differences from each other, but in my opinion, most of the clubbing scene is very similar.
In regards to the clubbing scene in 14, I've noticed that some people tend to have a lot of not so great views on clubbing in 14, kind of negative stereotypes that come up. For instance, when I say the 14 billboard, most of the people listening automatically know what I'm talking about. I've met people that are like, "Oh, clubs in 14, no, they're like mini Balmung servers. I just don't go to those." How do you think this came up? Like, what do you think creates these bad views of 14 clubbing?
I think for a lot of people it can be a lot of different things. I know with the billboard, people were upset with the imagery on the billboard specifically, and it was the modding community that seemed to be upset. Just want to say that, by the way, nobody got banned. No mods were shut down. People had a wonderful time. It was a great party. So
Oh,
there's
did you
that.
attend?
I played at it. I was one of the DJs on that billboard.
Oh
You just
my
have
gosh, I
you
just
just have
pulled
the
it up.
sudden
Yeah.
realization.
Yeah, there it is. DJ Potate, the third one on there.
Yeah, I posted that on the billboard picture on Twitter, and I got like death threats for that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and people said terrible things to me during the week of Billboard. Horrible, horrible, horrible things to me. It was very, very not great.
I mean, I don't want to dive into this if you're not comfortable with it, but I would be very interested as I've never encountered someone who was actually involved in that situation. So, if you're willing to talk about it, I'd be curious to hear about basically that week from your point of view and how that played out as people wrote articles about it and we're making YouTube videos commenting on it. Again, if you're not comfortable getting into it, we can move on, but
No, it's okay.
I'm
I'm
curious.
pretty. I mean, after the party happened, a lot of the hate died down, and I don't get really hate for it anymore. During the week of, that was probably the most anxious I've ever been in my entire life. I ain't gonna lie. It was pretty bad. People were being really, 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 really mean to me. A lot of people thought that I had made the billboard because I tweeted about it, and I had to correct that. I had to call multiple, or not call, but email some news agencies to correct some things that they had. Ooh, excuse me. Some things that they had posted about me. I had to contact some YouTube creators for them to correct things. But I think a big thing was some of the big WoW people like Preach and Asmongold started talking about it. And Asmongold actually interviewed the owner of the club. I actually was supposed to be in that interview, but I was asleep at the time because I had sets the night before, which is rather funny. But they, I don't know, a lot of creators when they made their like follow-up videos talking about the people who made it and trying to tell people, hey, don't blame the DJs, they didn't do anything wrong, and that helped a lot and it fixed a lot of misconceptions. There's a ton of misinformation that was going around too that was really really painful. But once people started finding out the true things, it ended up being okay. And then the show itself was really good. People seemed to really like the show, so that helped a lot.
So, in spite of all the controversy surrounding the Billboard incident, it sounds like a lot of people still came to the actual show and you had a solid turnout.
Oh, we capped a housing ward for 6 hours.
Really?
Yeah, you had to camp out in the housing ward the night before.
Oh, wow.
As you would
I
walk, people would spawn in front of you. There was like well over 1,000 people there.
That is amazing.
It was pretty insane.
I bet. Like I said, I it was one of those situations where I heard about it probably like a week or two later. But putting the Billboard incident aside, why else do you think people tend to frown upon clubbing in 14 or have like negative stereotypes about it?
Honestly, it's because people don't have experience in it, and I think the clubbing scene is really loud. And of course, people probably see things on social media. I guess Twitter's a big thing, and people will see some interpersonal drama between people in the clubbing scene, or drama between DJs and venues, or Just the fact that most people don't go to clubs and all they see are the ads in shout chats in major cities, and they base everything they know off of those clubs on those ads from shout chat, and Twitter, and have never actually gone to or experienced a club. I argue that most people that do go to them would see that it's just a bunch of people usually hanging out, listening to music they enjoy, maybe having some glamour contests, maybe there's somebody reading some tarot cards, there's a bar in the corner. I think people bring up the ERP stuff a lot, but a lot of clubs don't have ERP. I'd argue more clubs have no ERP and than do. And a lot of times you'll just find people wanting to role play in an environment that they're familiar with outside of the game, that during COVID they found a lot of solace and peace in. I know for me I've found a lot of people that have supported me on my journey and made me feel very gender, which I love, and wonderful music and really talented DJs and talented role players. Some of the bartenders are really, really insane with their RP. I don't know. I think people who judge it should give it a chance first before they make up their mind. And also some things are just not for everyone, and that's okay. I don't think it necessarily means that, I don't know. People are allowed to not like clubbing. That's totally okay. But just remember that the people who exist in the clubbing space, we're all people too. And we're just trying to have a good time. We're all just trying to survive and have a good time and, you know, not think about our IRL stuff sometimes. I think that's all players are ever trying to do. And some of us do it in different ways. Some of us like to do savage, and some of us like to pretend like we're getting drunk at a party.
Do you ever RP being drunk during your DJ sets?
Yes, it's hilarious.
Do you really? I actually meant that as a joke, but
Oh, no, I will totally go up to a bar and ask for their strongest juice box. I think it's the funniest thing in the world.
what flavor? Grape, I'm guessing?
Dude, whatever their strongest juice box is.
Do you ever feel awkward and cannibalistic drinking vodka in character?
Yes, and out of character, but I still do it.
Just gonna honey badger it and go for it, huh?
Yeah, we ball.
So, you know what? While we're on it, let's talk about that. I mean, first off, like you said, I find that a lot of people who have negative ideas about the 14 club scene, if I then ask them, okay, well, have you been to a club in 14? The majority of the time, the answer will be no. And either following that no, they will just straight up refuse to go to a club, or I'll go to a club with them and they'll be like, this is actually a lot of fun. And me and the people who we're with, we're just kind of like, yeah, it is. And like I've spoken about on the podcast before, I feel like that seems to extend to so much of role playing in Final Fantasy XIV in general, from cafes to clubs to pretty much any aspect of RP. Is funny enough, a majority of the time the people that go, I don't like it, it's not for me, I'll never do it, have never tried it once, and then when they try it, they're like, okay, I take back what I said, I feel a bit bad now. And it's such an interesting occurrence to me.
I think
And
it's a human thing.
sorry.
People are afraid of what they don't understand.
Have you ever gotten feedback about that out of curiosity? Like, have you had people message you and comment on your DJing and be like, hey, this is my first club, or hey, I wasn't sure about, trying this before now, but after going to this club or going to this event, I've changed my mind?
Oh, all the time, constantly. I'd argue it happens at least like once a week, where you have
Really?
somebody in chat who goes like, "This is my first time at a club, and this is great." Oh yeah, it's super common. Certain venues I go to all spend time making sure they encourage new people to come join too, and that really increases the probability of that happening. But yeah, it happens probably, I'd argue, almost like every week.
And to you specifically, or to the venue as a whole, or like to the scene in general?
Yeah, to all of the above. And it doesn't just happen in my stream; it happens in other DJ streams too. I mean, I'd argue that it's a very common occurrence for most DJs of someone coming in, what I would call it the pleasantly surprised newcomer, of someone coming and be like, "Wow, I really like this. I'm new here." It's fairly common.
So, as we're getting towards the end of our interview, I want to ask, can you sell not only your Twitch stream but the 14 club scene? Like, say someone has never gone to a club, all they've heard about is like the billboard, or they've heard about negative incidents or dramas in 14 clubs, and they're like, "Oh, I'd never set foot in a 14 club." What do you say to that person to ask them to give it a shot, to try and draw them in?
If you've ever had fun at a party at any point in your life ever, you should definitely give it a shot. Imagine partying, but you don't have to pay to be there. You don't have to pay real money for any drinks. All of your friends are invited, and you can completely control the volume of the music 100% to your liking. If you at all have ever enjoyed being at a club or in an environment that is club like, bar like, party like, you're probably going to have a good time. I can't guarantee it, but I can say that the probability is incredibly high. If you want me to sell my stream, if you like drum and bass, you gotta check it out. And I also want to pitch that I have a Twitch team called Drum and Blahage, and there are some wonderful members on that Twitch team that also play not just drum and bass but other music. And most of our members are LGBTQ plus, and we would love the support.
And I will encourage everyone to go check them out as well. Also, I want to add something to what you said. Not only is the 14 club scene in general, I feel not what a lot of people assume it to be or make of it. I, as I said, I tend to go to bed a bit early, so I'm not as active in clubs in 14 as others. But what I will say is try and put aside the stereotypes you've heard, try and put aside misconceptions. And I know this is a very large ask, but even try and put aside the fact that you may not be the type of person who would go to a club in real life. Keep in mind, 14 is an RP, it's fun, and if you're someone who enjoys 14, then I'm going to really encourage you to try as many aspects of the game and the game's community as possible, and that includes clubbing. Also, one thing I want to talk about that I feel a lot of people are afraid of when it comes to not only clubbing, but roleplay in general is what happens when you meet that bad role player, or that really insistent person, or that even really creepy person in a nightclub who's like, oh, cute cat girl, and, slides into your DMs. Yes, I'm not going to deny that that happens. Obviously, it does. We've all heard stories, we've all seen screenshots. But what I will tell you is that those people are fewer and more rare than you might think. Keep in mind, people don't highlight good things happening as much as they do bad things happening because that tends to have a bigger impact. But also, the neat thing about 14 is that you have a block button. And I encourage you to use that the moment you feel uncomfortable with someone messaging you. But also keep in mind, you have people like me, you have people like DJ Potate and other DJs, and a lot of these 14 clubs do have actual devoted staff who are, yes, there to roleplay, but also there to make sure that everyone who comes to their establishment that they've put time and effort into have a good time while there. If someone is harassing you in DMs, you can block them. If they start harassing you through emotes or through, especially say or shout chat, especially that, where everyone can see it, I promise you that someone is going to tell them to stop, or several people are going to tell them to stop. And 9 out of 10 times, that person is going to back down because they've already drawn too much attention to themselves at that point. Now, yes, that's a horror story. Yeah, it might happen. But putting that aside, I think that if you are on the fence about 14 clubs and you actually go to one and experience one, and especially take one or two friends or more, take your free company, take whoever's down to go. I think you will all have a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. If you're ever scared, you can always come check out one of my parties. I stream like 5 to 6 days a week. Although this coming week, I think I'm going to be taking a couple days off during the week. But yeah, 5 to 6 days a week is normally what I stream.
So while we've spoken about DJing, while we've spoken about clubs, I want to have a little bit of story time with DJ Potate. And by that I mean, as someone who's involved with DJing, as someone who's involved in the club scene, are there any awkward or funny stories that you want to share with us today?
I mean, there was the billboard thing that happened. That was kind of wild. So actually, yeah, I have a funny story. It actually happened during Billboard. There was a person who was trolling me and stalking me for months leading up to Billboard. They would come to all my sets. They would pose in front of my camera. They would be rude to people in chat. I had no idea who this person was, but Billboard was happening, and of course, they are there. They show up and they say some rude things to me in shout and say chat and yell chat, and they're saying some generally gross things. And then all of a sudden, they just poofed, just right in front of me. They were in front of my camera and they just poof. And then ever since that moment when they poofed, they've never come back to bother me. And I can't say that I confirmed it because I have no way of 100% confirming it. But I'm not going to lie. I think I just watched a person get banned in front of me live once for being mean to me in yell chat. And that was pretty funny.
So, for those of you that heard my monologue before that answer and went, yeah, sure, Nobu, I'm not completely sure that people are going to be as defensive of me as you say. There's an example, literally in game, from DJ Potate. Now, I'm not saying everyone who's rude to you in a 14 club is going to get struck down, but I am saying that if they make a big enough scene about it, well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So before I let you go, I'm I have to ask. We all know Dawn Trail's coming. Big expansion. A lot of people are very hyped about it. Is there anything in Dawn Trail that you are excited for?
Pictomancer. If it's a support DPS, I'm playing Pictomancer.
Just calling Pictomancer main
Yep.
for Dawn Trail.
Yep.
Awesome. I love it. Any specific reason why?
I love support DPS classes. Also, I mean, I just like the idea of an anime artist killing gods with their anime art.
You know, that's awesome. And fair. Very, very fair. So I'm
Like,
curious, as someone who likes support DPS, then do you play Sage? Have you played Sage? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really play Sage. I tried it out, and I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't click with me. I have no idea why. It just Sage and Astro are the only two healers that don't vibe with me. Although I like Astro in PvP, I just don't like it in PvE.
That's fair. All right. Before you go, let me first say thank you for your time. We've talked about it a bit, but when I say DJ Potate is busy, this is not an understatement. When are you booked out until?
Let me look. Actually, I just got another booking apparently as we're speaking. I'm booked out until May 24th. On my calendar, I have 88 events.
We had to go through, I think it was 3 different time frames to set up this interview, I believe.
Yep.
Now, the plus side here is that if anyone wants to hear DJ Potate DJ and be awesome at it, then there are VODs, of course, but also it sounds like there's plenty of streaming opportunities coming up.
Oh yeah.
So, because of what we've talked about, by the nature of you being a DJ, then that means every time you're DJing a venue, you're also streaming.
Mm-hmm.
So, for anyone curious to check out the club scene or check out a DJ Potate stream, you have plenty of opportunities. And I highly recommend it. All right. So, the end of the interview, I ask all my guests, because you've given me your time today, and I've asked you plenty of questions. What two questions do you have for me?
Oh God. What is your McDonald's order? Everybody has one. What's yours?
I'm not the biggest fan. I don't go to McDonald's very often,
But
but
if you have to go, what are you getting?
if I do have to go, if I am at McDonald's, it is usually going to be two breakfast burritos, hot sauce, and a hash brown. Usually 3 packets of hot sauce, one for each burrito, and one for the hash brown.
Do they do breakfast all day?
Nope. I
Oh,
also don't go to McDonald's after breakfast usually, so
dang.
I I like McDonald's for breakfast. Outside of breakfast, I'm not a big McDonald's fan. I suppose I was a really big fan of chicken wraps when they had them. Um, Outside of that, I'm usually not at McDonald's after breakfast.
Trying to think. I don't even know. I didn't even think about asking you questions. So this is so much pressure. What's your favorite music genre? There we go. That's a good one. A very DJ question. Actually, let me hone that
So,
in. What's your favorite electronic dance music genre?
oh gosh. See, the problem with that question is that it assumes I know names of electronic music genres, which off the top of my head, I don't know many. But I'm going to say, um, in regards to what music type I usually listen to, it's either going to be like a lot of house, a lot of house music.
Okay. Some Boots and Cats.
But have you ever heard of Cafe de Anatolia?
I don't think I have.
So, Cafe de Anatolia is a record label from, I believe, Turkey. And what they do is they produce a lot of ethno, deep house, and oriental music mixes. And they have a wonderful YouTube channel that I play their music and their mixes pretty often, either on YouTube or Spotify while I'm working. Um,
Oh,
and
so
yeah,
you like deep house, progressive house. Okay.
I love it. I recommend people listen to their music, see if it's your thing. They have wonderful pictures, they have beautiful scenery of places like the Mediterranean, and all of that has this great music mix in the background, and I am such a big fan. And again, that is Cafe de Anatolia, DE space Anatolia.
Oh yeah, it's actually really cool. I'm not gonna lie, I looked it up.
They have some of the most amazing imagery. Like I don't know who puts their imagery together, but whoever it is just does a stunning job. All right, we've reached the end of our interview. DJ Potate, please tell people where they can find you.
Twitch.tv/DJ Potate. There should be links to pretty much everything there, but also Linktree is linktr.ee/DJ_potate. That will have all of my links. My Twitch, my Discord, uh, you know, Etsy, Twitter, Instagram, Mixcloud, YouTube. So yeah. Pretty much if you just look up DJ Potate on Google or DJ_Potate, that's how you can find me at pretty much everywhere.
And on an interesting note, if all else fails, if you look up 14 Billboard, one of the suggestions Google gives you will in fact be DJ Potate.
That is true. I have my own Know Your Meme page.
Do you really?
Yeah, if you look up DJ Potate Billboard, I have a Know Your Meme page.
That is incredible and hilarious at the same time.
We'll have a legacy forever.
Well, nothing ever truly disappears from the internet, so they say. Have you thought about perhaps next time you're trying to advertise using that as a slogan like DJ Potate, I am forever.
No.
DJ Potate, did you see the billboard?
I don't think. I don't know. Maybe
Hey, I mean,
DJ Potate, the billboard. Maybe we'll do it again. I don't think I'd ever do it.
Revenge of the Billboard.
I don't think I'll ever do a billboard.
Hey, never say never. There's a whole new expansion coming up.
Oh God.
All right, so you heard it. Look for DJ Potate, Linktree, YouTube, Twitch, possibly a billboard near you. I'm trying really hard not to like cry laughing at the moment. I had my mic muted for a little bit, but okay. Me laughing at my own jokes aside, DJ Potate, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope that you will have an amazing day.
Thank you. I appreciate. See ya.
Well, my friend, I hope you enjoyed my talk with DJ Potate. While I don't expect our chat to change too many hearts and minds in regards to Eorzea's club scene, I do feel that all aspects of life on Aetheris are worth indulging in at least once. Maybe a club will be to your liking, or perhaps it won't. But until you step into one, you may never truly know. As I said before, it is but one idea of how you can spend your time as we prepare for our journey to Tural. It is also a wonderful way to not only spend time with your friends, but quite possibly make new ones as well. Now, one thing I wish we had spoken about more, and something I wish everyone to experience at least once, is the skill of the bartenders at these clubs. If you ever want to be impressed by someone, just wait until you see one bartender at a club with 20 people around them, and they are, without missing a beat, keeping track of everyone's orders, everyone's gill, and also somehow managing to engage with most of them in conversation at the exact same time. It really is a sight to behold. Also, before we go, I want to say that this is the 5th interview of this set. We are now halfway through our 10 interviews, and I'm so thankful for you being here for them. It doesn't feel like we've had 15 interviews here so far, and yet here we are. It's amazing. So thank you for being here for them. And with that said, until next episode, I hope you all stay safe, and I'll see you next time with a warm drink and wonderful guests. Take care.